Okay, here's one thing, sensitivity. When someone goes outside and yells fuck because they are a little upset because they're tired of the entire situation and they realize that the band who keeps singing, not singing, screaming I am the all-seeing I when he gets challenged, like for instance going to a bar that has an FGM reference on it and getting caught with it and having to cancel the date and go home. We have a big problem when that person's been showing photos of, well, actually it's kind of like artwork, of Eiffel Tower engulfed in flames before all this stuff happened. And I know a lot of us have creepy, weird things happening, but we need to make a network. If the police are not going to be able to do that kind of stuff where we can say, hey, it's a little concerning, and be able to network these things together, we need to make a network of all these weird men or women or anybody who is creating false flag type of threats. And also the weird things like, oh, you'll see. This Operator 1313 thing has to die. You can't be that supercilious being a police officer. And when I don't think somebody named Operator 1313 is affiliated with the police department, to be perfectly honest. I could be wrong. And I know sometimes, the first job that you get is answering the phones, and sometimes you do a shit job of it. That happens. But that doesn't make me feel comfortable and concerned. And if you're watching, I haven't put on my makeup or done my face yet. If you're watching that and criticizing my eyebrows instead of my message, this one's for you. Actually, this one's for you. But really, we need to work on this kind of stuff. We need to work on the fact I shouldn't have fluoride stains on my teeth. We need to work on the fact that constantly improving and keeping our work together is not owned by a secret society. This is not fun and games, even though it is fun and games. Even if you clone people and stuff, they're still not clones of those people. They actually have spirit. And when somebody has to actually pull you over effectively and say, hey, do your fucking job, please get with it. And everyone else, seriously think about occupying those spaces that the other people have occupied because we've decided that we don't know what we're doing, or we're afraid of the occupation or the position or the level of authority backfiring on us, for one thing. A lot of us know what we're up to, but we're afraid, oh, that's not really me because that's what other people do. They're politicians, or, maybe I don't want to go ahead and be a fire department member or whatever it is. If we don't want this crap to keep happening, look at the cabinet behind me, we're going to have to actually stand up and actually say, maybe we don't know, but our nation was started by a bunch of 21-year-olds. And it seems to work pretty well because they actually squared with, that's actually a thing in building that was done before speculation. And if you notice, one of the things my family does is we actually are very well educated in pretty much basic level everything on purpose. That is not taking away workers' rights. That's actually helping us hire better workers. So when I happen to know enough about concrete laying to know that you don't lay it at 32 degrees, and I tell my workmen, no, work's canceled this week, let's do it in the summer, that's better for both of us. It doesn't ruin the floor, it doesn't ruin the effort, it doesn't ruin the actual man hours and the carbon involved in the Portland concrete that's going on your floor. Okay? But when you also realize that all these false starts and stuff and destroying and rebuilding, sometimes that is the way to get people's attention. I get it. I was a Charleston tour guide, we get it. But sometimes as an FGM plus survivor, you have to say sometimes you don't have to destroy things, you just have to grow up and get a life. And one of those grow up and get a life things is we need antiquity support. And we need non-superstitious antiquity support. For instance, if there's some bones lying in the ground, and I say they're my relatives, and someone else says, no, they're my relatives. And someone else says, no, they're my relatives, and they're also related to Anna because of this whole situation. You don't go ahead and say Anna's a racist for wanting to go ahead and get those DNA tested. If they're my relatives, they're my relatives. So erasure works with who becomes the most offended person without science. And yes, we mess up, but the people working on the other side who are actually doing this stuff instead of just speculating, I'm not listening to people who keep on telling me I have to have a bar association card to be able to be a person who gets shit done. No, thank you. I don't need that, and neither do you. And especially when it's really getting to the point, if I'm honest about my religion, I have to sue the bar association to be able to even get there because of something that's required of my religion that is provably, in removal, ruined our country and ruined our world. Ruin the Federation. I mean, come on. We have to get over this stuff. Okay? And, a lot of the way people assume isn't getting our job done, but it's also a removal of charity. Okay? And yes, words do change and fluctuate, but the original kingdom of that word means if I see something, you listen to it for content. It means if I look a certain way that you don't like, you assume that maybe you don't have all that information. It means you do the work of knocking on someone's door or talking to them and saying, hey, why is this happening? It means when someone says they're going to move the RV, maybe their family told them not to that same day. Okay? Things change. Does not mean it's a lie. That means it is always constantly in motion. You lecture me enough about that. You can hear it from me. So here's just one thing I gotta say. Own up to it. If you want to go ahead and have stuff in your life, if you're screwed about your boss, live with your feet. You know what I mean? Vote with your feet. Say no thank you. Start your own companies. Do that work. Facilitate that work. Get in that office. Get that vote. Bring back that meritocracy. You don't have to have a tantrum and burn down a church if it's really just an accident. If you're a worker and something happened, your welding arc happened and the church burned down, shit happens. We get it. But part of what I was trained in is to go ahead and evaluate without shame, with charity. Hey, what happened? Even if you throw a Molotov cocktail in there. Why? What is going on? Are you threatened by somebody? Let's figure out what we can do using our intellect to circumvent that type of situation later. Perhaps there needs to be a new type of welding device, kind of shield something. Perhaps there needs to be a new safety device. Perhaps someone needs to go ahead and say, hey, the only reason I actually had a cannabis cigarette is because I'm in horrible pain. I don't use, let's say it's a worker who fell off scaffolding because their OSHA laws or whatever the variation of was denied, and they're using, it's very, very hard, by the way, to catch something on fire with cannabis. Tobacco burns in a different way. It's much, you can't fall asleep and have it burn down your house. It's a totally different type of substance. But especially the modern tobacco. Cigarettes, one of the reasons people get sick, most people think I'm not giving medical advice or legal advice, but the reason why a lot of people get sick apparently is the cigarette wrappers. You see on a cigarette, you see those little lines? Those are accelerants, okay? And so when you inhale the paper and then accelerants, along with the mist with tobacco, a lot of times, it makes you quite ill. But anyway, if things like that happen, go through the whole thing without shame. Why were you here? Why were you doing this? Why was there a butane lighter in your pocket? All these different things that you can go through. Without shame, get you an answer. With shame, they don't get you anything. And that shouldn't be what is only held by different secret societies and stuff. And frankly, even if you hero your own building, the people living next door to you, we kind of have a little bit of vested interest not burning down too. So, being in my lane, a lot of the things I say do come off sounding Masonic, like the I am. Also, when you read the Bible, it comes off as the I am. If you do a lot of different things in spirituality work, we're all trying as blinded people try to describe an elephant, okay? So it is not me trying to get out of my lane. Please don't get out of yours, okay? Please contact me, everybody, Operator 1313. I have a no vlog thing going on. I'm going to try to break that. Everybody who is in this position, we are in a siege type of situation. Okay, that's why we're not being heard. That's why we're not being listened to. Hang tight. We can break it. Okay? All right. good day.